Think you know video game music? Let us find out. 20 soundtracks! Only real gamers survive this one. Some of these are free points. Some of these will expose you. Ready? Which game does this soundtrack belong to? That was Super Mario Bros., published in 1985. This is one of the most famous themes in gaming history. If you missed that one, your controller may need to be confiscated. Which game is this soundtrack from? That was Pokémon Red and Blue, published in 1996. The battle theme basically trained an entire generation to panic the second a trainer looked at them. Name the game this soundtrack belongs to. That was Tetris, published in 1984. The famous Type A theme is based on the Russian folk song Korobeniki. This song has probably caused more stress than most boss fights. Which game are you hearing right now? That was Sonic the Hedgehog, published in 1991. Green Hill Zone is pure video game comfort food. Bright colors, fast music, and immediate overconfidence. Which legendary game does this soundtrack belong to? That was Street Fighter II, published in 1991. Guile's theme became such a meme that people started saying it goes with everything. And honestly, they were not wrong. Which game is this iconic music from? That was The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, published in 1998. Zelda's Lullaby is one of the most recognizable melodies Nintendo ever made. If this one did not unlock a memory, check if your nostalgia settings are turned off. 6 down. Still perfect? Good, because now it gets harder. Which game does this soundtrack belong to? That was Minecraft, published in 2011. The track is Sweden by C418. Calm, beautiful, and somehow able to make placing digital blocks feel emotional. Which game is this soundtrack from? That was Grand Theft Auto: San Andreas, published in 2004. Even people who never finished the game know the vibe instantly. Few games have ever had this much attitude in their DNA. Name the game this soundtrack belongs to. That was Halo: Combat Evolved, published in 2001. That chant made sci-fi suddenly sound holy. It is the musical equivalent of putting on armor and walking toward destiny. Which game are you hearing right now? That was FIFA 14, published in 2013. The song was Love Me Again by John Newman. FIFA soundtracks have introduced people to more artists than some radio stations ever did. Which game does this soundtrack belong to? That was Call of Duty: Modern Warfare 2, published in 2009. Yes, the main theme was composed by Hans Zimmer, because apparently even military shooters wanted Oscar energy. Quick pause. If you are enjoying this quiz, drop your score in the comments. And there is a $50 Amazon voucher prize draw every 2 months for commenters. So comment your score, your favorite game in this quiz, and do not forget to subscribe. Now let us see who is still standing. Which game is this soundtrack from?
Oh, you keep killing folk, Dutch. I'm just trying to make...
That was Red Dead Redemption 2, published in 2018. The song is Unshaken. This game somehow made riding a horse for 10 minutes feel like cinema. Which game does this soundtrack belong to? That was The Last of Us, published in 2013. The main theme was composed by Gustavo Santaolalla. Just a few notes, and somehow the world already feels broken. Name the game this soundtrack belongs to. That was Assassin's Creed 2, published in 2009. The track is Ezio's Family. It became so iconic that Ubisoft kept bringing it back in later games. A soundtrack so good, it multi-classed into a franchise theme. Which game are you hearing right now? That was Final Fantasy VII, published in 1997. The track is One Winged Angel. This was one of the first game songs to hit players with full choir and pure final boss panic at the same time. If you still have not missed one, you might actually be the final boss. From here on, the quiz goes full danger mode. Which game does this soundtrack belong to? That was Undertale, published in 2015. The track is Megalovania, a song so powerful it escaped the game and started living on the internet full-time. Which game is this soundtrack from? That was Doom, published in 2016. The track is BFG Division. This soundtrack does not ask how your day is going. It kicks the door open and starts sprinting. Which game does this soundtrack belong to? That was Cyberpunk 2077, published in 2020. The track is V-Theme. The launch may have been chaotic, but the music was never the problem. Which game are you hearing right now? That was God of War, published in 2018. That deep, powerful theme sounds like it was forged inside a mountain. Everything about this soundtrack says, "Do not test this man." Final question, and this one should feel like the gates of heaven opening for gamers. Which game does this soundtrack belong to? That was The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim, published in 2011. The track is Dragonborn. Few soundtracks make people want to walk into a room more dramatically than necessary. And yes, somewhere out there, someone just took an arrow to the knee. How many did you get right? Drop your score in the comments. And if you want more game quizzes, subscribe.